Okay. I guess now I'm technically streaming. So I'll get this up and over. And I'll start here. All right then. Maybe I should move my image down here. There we go. Intro to CSS. While HTML is the fundamental structure of every web page, it can be visually unappealing on its own. Cascading style sheets, or CSS, is a language web developers use to style the HTML content on a web page. If you're interested in modifying colors, font types, and font sizes, images, elements, positioning, and more, CSS is the tool for the job. Nice. Take a look at the code in index.html. I have index.html. And observe how it displays in the browser to the right. If this is plain HTML without any style, let's take a quick look at the power of CSS. Copy and paste the following code into line 5. Okay, so we have link. Style sheet. Okay. What happens when you press the run button? Whoa. That's pretty cool. Wow, I was not expecting that. Wow, that's cool. That just changed everything right there. What happens if you take some time to explore and experiment with the code in the style.css file. So that's from over here. Okay. So we have the HTML body. I wanna see that again too. So that was line 5, right in here. So I'll just see what happens when I. So this is what the HTML code initially sets up, and then as I understand it, this line of code is style.css. So this line of code is now linking everything from the front end of the paragraphs written and the lists and whatever this is. Is that an image? Is there image right here? Project Innovation Cloud. Yeah. So then you put this link in here and then you run it. And now everything from the CSS code sheet is now being applied to give everything that was on this page more style. That's really cool. Let's see here. Let me see if I can parse out anything too. Like if I just switch those to something else, what changed? Oh, there's more stuff down here. I didn't even realize I could scroll down. Okay. I don't know if that's proper or not, if that'll actually do anything. I don't know. Probably is doing something. I mean, it's supposed to affect the color of something too, so. Huh. Media. Is there a button for media somewhere? Do these buttons actually work? Okay. Join. Okay, it sends me to the top here. Learn more. Okay. That was so cool. 000, I think that's supposed to just be white. Huh. Well, let's not be too crazy here. hoping to just kind of see things out of place or something. Dot navigation UL. I don't know. This feels like observation duty, me just affecting the code here and seeing if anything changes on the right side. Background. So this is what's causing either this picture or this one, I think. DakotaAcademy.com project innovation cloud. Is there a second one somewhere? Okay, but let's see. We also have font size, we have height, we have line height. Okay, I'm going to move on. CSS anatomy. The diagram on the right shows two different methods of syntax for writing CSS code. The first syntax shows CSS applied as a rule set, while the second shows it written in as an inline style. Two different methods of writing CSS may seem a bit intimidating at first, but it's not as bad as it looks. Both methods contain common features in the anatomy. Notice how both syntax contain a declaration. Declarations are the core of CSS. Okay. They apply a style to the selected element. Here, the paragraph element has, or the parent element has been selected to both syntax and will be styled to display the text in blue. Understand that declaration is used to style a selected element is key to learning how to style HTML documents with CSS. The terms below explain each of the labels in the diagram on the right. Rule set terms. Selector, the beginning of the rule set used to target the element that will be styled. Declaration block, the code in between and including the curly brackets. That contains the CSS. Declaration, the group name for a property and value pair that applies to a style to the selected element. Property, the first part of the declaration that signifies what visual characteristics of the element is to be modified. Value, the second part of the declaration that signifies the value of the property. Inline style terms. Opening a tag, the start of the HTML element, this is the element that will be styled. Attribute, the style attribute is used to add CSS inline style to an HTML element. Declaration, the group name for a property and value pair that applies a style to the selected element. Property, the first part of the declaration that signifies that visual characteristics of the element is to be modified. Value, the second part of the declaration that signifies the value of the property. Don't worry about memorizing all of these. You will get acquainted with them more and more as the course progresses. Feel free to come back and use these exercises as a reference later on. Instructions. Study the diagram, become familiar with CSS syntax, and the new terms that will be used throughout the course. Click the next button when you are ready to write some code. Let's go write some code. Inline style. Although CSS is a different language than HTML, it is possible to write CSS code directly within HTML code using inline style. To style an HTML element, you can add the style attribute directly to the opening tag. After you add the attribute, you can set it equal to the CSS styles you'd like applied to the element. In the code example above, here we go, demonstrates how to use inline styling. The paragraph element has a style attribute within its opening tag. So I see it's included inside of this P, so style equals color red. So I'm assuming maybe it changes the I'm learning to code into the color red. which will set the color of the paragraph text to red within the browser. Yes. All right. If you'd like to add more than one style within line styles, simply keep adding the style attribute. Make sure to end the style within a semicolon. Ah, interesting. That's good, because in C++ we use semicolons all the time, so I am greatly familiar with semicolons at this point. It's important to know that inline styles are a quick way of directly styling an HTML element, but are rarely used when creating websites. But you may encounter circumstances where inline styling is necessary. So understand how it works, and recognizing it in HTML code is good. Is good knowledge to have. Soon you'll learn the proper way to add CSS code. Too much tonight. All right, let's see here. In index.html, use inline styling to set the color of the first paragraph, the first P element, to green. Where is the first P? So we go. Style equals, yes? Oh. Style equals color, colon, green, semicolon. I think that's all it's asking me to do. We're running it. That's right. Is the world is full of fascinating places. The world is full of fascinating places. That is slightly green. Wow, I might be colorblind because that still kind of looks black to me. All right, maybe suck a hint. Good. Concept review. It looks like I can move on. Great, I turned some text green. Internal style sheet. As previously stated, inline styles are not the best way to style HTML elements. If you wanted to style, for example, multiple H1 elements, you would have to add inline style to each element manually. In addition, you would also have to maintain the HTML code when additional H1 elements are added. Fortunately, HTML allows you to write CSS code in its own dedicated section with a style element nested inside the head element. The CSS code inside the style element is often referred to as internal style sheet. An internal style sheet has certain benefits to use cases over inline styles. But once again, it's not best practice. We'll get there. We promise. Understand how to use internal style sheets is nonetheless helpful knowledge to have. To create an internal style sheet, a style element must be placed inside the head element. So head, style, closing head. After adding opening and closing styles, tags to the head section, you can begin writing CSS code. So inside the head, you have the head is the parent company, and then you have the child, the style, and then you have code inside between the styles. Color red, font size 20. All right. The CSS code, as an example above, changes the color of all paragraph text to red and also changes the size of the text to 20 pixels. Note how the syntax of the CSS code matches, for the most part, the syntax you used for inline styling. The main difference is that you can specify which element to apply the styling. Let's move to the inline style that was added to the paragraph into the internal style sheet. Start by adding an empty style element in the head of index.html. All right, so we do have the head right here, and it's inside HTML, but is that the index HTML? And is that the only head? Yes, okay. Start by adding an empty style element to the head of the index. So I would go. Now it didn't tell me to go inside the title, right? I mean, the best thing I think I can do is that. No. Okay, that's not what it's asking me to do. Ooh. Head style. So then maybe it wants me to do another style. It's all inside the head, but it's indexed. There we go. That is what it wanted. Inside the style element, add a CSS rule set targeting the paragraph, the P element. You can leave the declaration block empty for now. So you want me to write something like that. No. Okay, wait a minute. Just one? That doesn't seem right. That isn't right. Inside the style element. Maybe inside here? That seems to make a lot of things very upset. But then what if I close it? That has not resolved it being upset. Okay. Style element, add a CSS rule set targeting the paragraph, the P element. You can leave the declaration block empty for now. What? Head, title. Just something like this? Yes. I got that from looking at this one, so now I assume I need to follow along with this next part. Next, place just the declaration from the inline style into the empty declaration block in the inline style sheet. Okay, let me just essentially recreate what's going on here, which is the color red. Font dash size 20 pixels semicolon. Huh? No. Okay. Next, place just the declaration from the inline style. What's it talking about? Fortunately, HTML allows us to write CSS code in its own dedicated section with a style element nested inside the head element. CSS code inside the style element is often referred to as the internal style sheet. An internal style sheet has certain benefits and use cases over inline styles. Once again, it's not best practice. We'll get there, we promise. Understand how we use internal style sheets and nonetheless helpful knowledge to have. To create an internal style sheet, style element must be placed inside the head element. Head style, I liked that. After adding opening and closing style tags as the head section, you begin writing CSS code. Kind of started doing that. CSS code in the example above changes the color of all paragraph text to red and also changes the size of the text to 20 pixels. I don't really have anything that's changing as far as I understand. Element apply the style. It's asking just to do that? No. Color green declaration to the empty declaration box. Does it want green? Okay. Finally delete the there was a little note at the bottom, that's how I found that out. Finally delete the inline style from the P element, paragraph element. Notice how the styling works the same in style sheet as it did in the inline style. No? No. I mean, I deleted all of the P. The entire inline style from the P element. Yes. Unless it just wants me to do that. No. No. Did you delete the entire inline style from the paragraph element? I thought I did. No. What is it? What does it want from me here? What is it trying to teach me? I could just view it, but let me try a few more things here. It's not going to do anything. As it did in the inline style. Let's move the inline style that was added in the paragraph into the internal style sheet. Start by adding an empty style element. Let's see here. Is this now where I get the, I mean, this would be weird, but let me just want to try things at this point. Well, I increase the size, but that's not it. It's not what it wants. Delete the inline style from the paragraph element. I mean, it seemed like that was the style, and now it's deleted. No. I delete that all the way. Still no. Line style from the paragraph element. Notice how the style works the same in style sheet as it did the inline style. What? Targeting the paragraph element. for now. Can leave the declaration block empty. So these are the declaration blocks. Next, place just the declaration from the inline style into the empty declaration block in the inline style sheet. Oh. I already tried this, right? Delete the inline style from the paragraph element. Notice how the styling works the same in the style sheet as it did in the inline style. What is it talking about? What is the inline style? To create an internal style sheet, a style element must be placed inside of the head element. So was that me making these styles that go above and below this? So if this is color green, does it want me to then delete the styles and see how that affects things? No. It's worth a shot. It can't be talking about that. No. What's it asking for? Color green. Style color green. Down here it wants me to delete the styling. Okay. Okay. Down here it wants me to delete this. That's why it's showing these brackets. Okay. Right? Yes. Now we're all on the same page. And now that's still green, even though we put it up here. Interesting. Huh. Okay. So something about doing it this way connects that to the paragraph, which this is the only paragraph there. It's like I almost want to try something here, like does H5 does that do anything? Let's see here. H5. Stacy Gray. Where's Stacy Gray? Stacy Gray is now blue, which I just did. How about red? Ha ha. Ha ha. So by writing it like this, I'm telling all the things like this to change. So another H5? Top attractions. Top attractions, that's why top attractions also changed to red. Ha ha. Hoo-hoo, all right. I'm learning your puzzle game, coding, life, whatever. Here we go. On to the next thing. I hope that's the only change I made. Okay. Top vacation spots. Eternal external style sheets. External style sheets. Developers avoid mixing code by storing HTML and CSS code in separate files. HTML files contain only HTML code, and CSS files contain only CSS code. You can create an external style sheet by using the .css file name extension, like so, style.css, which is what that's titled up here. Okay. Oh, there's nothing in this one now. Yeah, all right. I guess that makes sense. With an external style sheet, you can write all CSS code needed to style a page without sacrificing the readability and maintainability of your HTML file. Take a look at index.html, cut the CSS code rule set in between the opening and closing style tag, and paste it directly into the file called style.css. So it's saying to just get it straight from there, right? It doesn't want me to include the style section, right? Yes. All right. Haha. That's no longer green. The font changes didn't take effect. Click the next button. Was I supposed to have oh no. Font dash size 20 pixels, if I remember correctly. And that should do nothing. Good. I think I'm back to where I was supposed to be. Stuck? Get a hint. All right, let's see what it wants us to do next. So why didn't that do anything? And what can we do to make it do something? Hey, it took away my style. Okay, linking the CSS file. Perfect. We successfully separated structure HTML from style CSS, but the web page still looks bland. Why? When HTML and CSS code are in separate files, and files must be linked, otherwise the HTML file won't be able to locate the CSS code, and the style will not be applied. You can use the link element to link HTML and CSS files together. The link element must be placed within the head of the HTML file. It is a self-closing tag and requires the following attribute. href. H-R-E-F. href. Like the anchor element, the value of this attribute must be the address or path to the CSS file. And rel, this attribute describes the relationship between the HTML file and the CSS file. Because of this linking the style sheet, the value should be set to style sheet. When linking an HTML file and CSS file together, the link element will look like the following. Link href equals rel style sheet. Okay. Note that in the example above, the path to the style sheet is a URL. The Code Academy style. Yep. All right. Specify the path to the style sheet using the URL is one way of linking a style sheet. If the CSS file is stored in the same directory as the HTML file, then you can specify a relative path instead of a URL like so. I have a feeling I'm going to need this. So let me take that. Using a relative path is a very common way of linking to a style sheet. Let's link the style sheet, style.css, to the HTML file, index.html. First, add a link element within the head section. Okay. Is that as easy as just doing this? No. It's worth a shot. Let's link the style sheet, style.css, to the HTML file, index.html. First, add a link element within the head section. So, like this? Yes. Next, add the href attribute to the link element and set it to equal to the style.css. Take a look at the web page in the browser to the right. Do you notice the changes yet? I mean, that is green right there. And I do have this over here. So I would not be surprised if that's what they're referring to. In fact, let me also, just to be extra sure. Yeah, okay. So because this is over here, and since this is going to be making changes for things, I'm going to put that up to the top. Oh, interesting. Changing the order of that has affected all of this taking effect. So this would have to be below it. Interesting. Very interesting. Okay. Huh. Well, that was lucky. Linked correctly. Moving on. Review. Wow. I'm already at the review. That's crazy. Great work so far. By understanding how to incorporate CSS code into your HTML file, as well as learning some of the key terms, you're on your way to creating a spectacular website with HTML and CSS. Let's review what you learned so far. The basic anatomy of CSS syntax, written for both inline style and style sheets. Some commonly used CSS terms such as rule set, selector, and declaration. CSS inline style can be written inside the opening HTML tag using the style attribute. Inline styles can be used to style HTML, but it is not the best practice. An internal style sheet is written using the style element inside the head element of the HTML file. Internal style sheets can be used to style HTML, but are not best practice. An external style sheet separates CSS code from HTML, but using the CSS file extension. External style sheets are the best approach when it comes to using HTML and CSS. External style sheets are linked to HTML using the link element. Take this knowledge to the next lesson, where you start learning how to select HTML elements to style. Let me just quickly see. Yep. Want to make sure. And I had a pretty good idea that I probably wasn't going to be getting any views, so just good to check every once in a while. This is really more for this is a great way for me to feel like someone is watching me, even though nobody is watching me, to give me some kind of accountability to do the study. It's very easy for me to get distracted otherwise. So setting up a recording situation like this puts that extra accountability on me, essentially, to do the studying. And to say, like, yes, look, I totally got eyes on it. I totally read it. I'm looking at it all. Okay, so let's break down some of the stuff that's going on here. Why does it keeps taking away my beautiful green? This is green now, right? Is that just from the last time I ran it? Well, no, let me see here. No, that's back to being just a regular paragraph. And there's no paragraph here, but this is here, but there's no link to it, I thought. So I'm surprised that this is looking the way that it does. Huh. I'm going to open these up for myself later. Okay, the basic anatomy of CSS syntax, written for both inline styling and style sheets. Still a little confused on the difference between these two. In fact, I might just save all of this for later. Oh, interesting. All right then. Well, I'm just gonna call this here then for right now, since I need to figure out what it means by, I guess, doing this on my phone.